Hello there. Okay, so it is, what is it, Thursday today? And it's been a few days before few weeks, few months since we've gone through and actually answered some of your questions live. Harper and I are going to be changing that. So pay attention as we're doing some more live video for you. But I want to jump over to TikTok and answer as many of your questions as I can. And then let's go from there. So let's spin around and take a look at my old computer here. What do we got? Sparky the Loner commented, sounds like a Cummins SCR. And let's take a look at this video. All right, it is a rainy day in Atlanta, but we're heading to the scrapyard. Just recorded this today, actually, and went down to Kearns, which I think is one of the largest, if not the largest, truck scrapyard in America, just down the street from us. Had a customer from Green Bay, Wisconsin that needed a SCR for, I think it's a Kenworth, and really in desperate shape for it, so desperate need of it. So we went to brave the elements, went to the scrapyard, and guess what? We found one. To see if we can find an SCR for a customer out of town who's in desperate need of one, and they're like $12,000 new. And that's true. Those SCRs are really, really pricey, and nothing available in the aftermarket for most of these. So you're stuck with OEM. And so what we will do is, in a pinch, see if we can find one off of a wrecked truck, and they're generally in great shape. And we do refurbish them, give a 1-year warranty, and that's what we're doing here. I'm actually at the shop right now. See if we can find one off of a wrecked truck. So let's take an adventure before this freezes. And then we're off. All right, let's fast forward through this. I went and got a little bit of lunch, and now I'm chewing gum. That's my mouth. And we're just pulling into Kearns, grabbing the golf cart, which is one of my favorite things to do at the Kearns. And we're going to drive that thing up the hill and see what we can find. Okay, all right, here we go. Let's fast forward a little bit here and see what we got. All right, I think we got one. And so, yes, we did find one. And to answer the question is, looks like a Cummins SCR. That's 100% what it was. And when he said sounds like a Cummins SCR, probably was just that it was very, very expensive. All right, let's take a look to see what else we got here. Oh, hang on a minute. All right, and then Jeffrey Maxwell 34 commented, and you can just buy the DEF for $9 right next to it. Now, the Walmart, I don't know if you mentioned. The question I get a lot is it okay to use the DEF from Walmart? Yeah, that's the question I get a lot is can I just use the Walmart DEF? And I'm not sure if this comment meant that there is a cheaper version of DEF at Walmart, like a off-brand or a true value, a Walmart branded DEF that's only $9. At the Walmart where I was at in Atlanta, it only had the blue DEF, so we only had the choice of the standard blue DEF or the platinum blue DEF. And this is answering the question I get a lot, which is, and the answer is absolutely, except, the question is, I get a lot is it okay to use the DEF from Walmart? And the question is, can I use the DEF from Walmart or the DEF from AutoZone or the DEF from Tractor and Supply or Costco? And the answer is absolutely. DEF is DEF is DEF. 32.5% urea, 67.5% deionized water, and that's all you're going to get. So if you want to get your jugs of DEF at Walmart, by all means do it. I've heard Tractor and Supply is actually even a better deal than Walmart. But I get in here further and we talk about a question I get a lot, which is, what about, and the answer is the platinum DEF. Let's scoot forward here. So checking on the shelf, we've got, so what we're looking at here is, so it does not move as quickly. Let me show you something here. So the platinum DEF is 30% more, and It's not going to hurt your truck to use it. It's going to hurt your pocketbook. Do not waste money in the Platinum DEF. It's not going to work any better for you. And it does say something about it doesn't crystallize as much. We've actually done tests on this. It does crystallize. It does crystallize a little bit differently, but that is only when it's outside of the system. Like if you spill some on the floor or spill some on the side of your truck, you'll notice the Platinum DEF will have a much finer crystallization because the nucleate, whatever it is, the crystallization point of it is different simply because they add a couple drops of a surfactant to it, which is basically a soap. And it doesn't change the behavior inside your truck at all. So just use the plain old regular DEF. And yes, if you have the option of a $15 jug of DEF next to a $9 jug of DEF, get the $9 jug of DEF. And keep in mind, it's likely that the $9 jug of DEF will sell quicker. Jug of DEF, that's kind of hard to say. But the $9 DEF will sell more quickly than the $20-89 jug of Platinum DEF, and then the $15 blue DEF will sell faster than the Platinum DEF. And with DEF, the fresher it is, the better, much like cheese curds from Wisconsin. What else do we have for comments here? Here's Red Repair. I love his responses. Guy, they said. It'll be fun. So this is me getting a face full of. So you get a face full of soot. But the question that was asked is, can you clean an oil-soaked filter? And the answer is absolutely you can, but you need to do it very, very carefully because the flash point of motor oil is about 450 degrees Fahrenheit, plus or minus. That's assuming there's oxygen in the atmosphere. And so if you have a couple of quarts or a couple of gallons of motor oil in your DPF because the turbo went out or something terrible went wrong upstream, and you put that in an oven and heat it up to 1,000 degrees, that thing will go off like a bomb. And believe me, you don't want that to happen. So there is a specific process we use, and it's where we actually will roast the filter at the flash point or even slightly above, but in an oxygen depleted environment so that we can slowly cook the oil out. And then once we've done that, we can then run it at a full temp and get everything baked out. So yes, it can be done. It has to be done carefully. I do not enjoy doing it. And we do charge more for it, but it's still, even with all of that, it's far less expensive than getting a new DPF. So yes, you can clean oil-soaked filters. What else we got here? So this is a good one. So a question I get a lot is back to this DEF thing. The question was, well, I don't know where it went here. Anyway, so what is the acceptable shelf storage life of unopened DEF jugs? That is dependent a lot on the environment. Now, if it's being stored indoors, away from the sunlight, and heat, it'll probably store safely for about 2 years. If you are getting it in where it's hot, in the 80s or 90s, you probably reduce that storage time in half. And once it's open, if it's exposed to air and heat, you probably don't want to keep that thing, you don't want to keep a jug for more than 3 months. So closed up, away from the air, away from heat. In other words, room temperature in the 70s or so, a year or two, no problem. If you've got it and it's hot in a garage, I wouldn't use DEF that's more than a year old. And if it's open, I wouldn't try using it for more than 3 months. Which is why this is important to, if you're going to get bulk DEF, like in a big Gaylord 300-gallon tote or whatever it is, that's perfectly fine. Just make sure you keep it out of the sun, keep it out of hot temperatures, and make sure that you're using all of that DEF, within 3 to 6 months. You don't want to have that thing languish and cause more issues down the line. Of course, we have the answer for everything is just delete your pickup, and then you won't have to worry about it. And yes, you can buy $9 DEF right next to it. Not at my Walmart, but if you can get $9 DEF at your Walmart, by all means, do it. And never buy DEF in bulk. Yes, that's just what we talked about, which is don't buy DEF in bulk unless you can use it within 90 days in less than 6 months. And then Brandon Meyer, thank you. My stuff kicks ass. That is, I love to hear that we're doing a good job. What else do we have here? Any other questions I can answer here? Some more comments on that. Thanks for sticking with me as I'm scrolling through here. Oh, let's look at comments here so we're not looking at all the people that like what I do. I use the SuperTech DEF for $8.88. That is a deal. I don't know where they sell SuperTech DEF. I'll have to look that up and do a video on that. But again, DEF is DEF is DEF. It's managed by the ANSI standard. So if it's fresh and cheap, use it. Red Repair, he's a dude. Oh, here's a good one. So one is cat piss and the other is tiger piss. I always thought this thing going, oh, it's just cow piss or whatever. That's not what DEF is. It has urea in it, but at 32.5%, it is about 100 times stronger than what's in pee. So DEF is actually no longer formulated from animal urine. It's far more cost effective to just refine it and make it in a chemistry project versus an animal's bladder. And yes, Jack commented, some states with emissions regulations are starting to make it part of the safety inspection, anti-tampering. Actually, the DOT is supposed to look for evidence of emissions tampering. They just kind of close one eye when they do your DOT inspection, but just be aware. It's not a matter of kind of if they're going to do it, matter of when. So, understand that part of your DOT inspection might involve them checking to make sure that you don't have any soot on your tailpipe. Of course, the delete it. Let's see. Here you go. This lower duo. Can an oil-soaked DPF DOC be cleaned? Yes. It just takes a very careful, specialized process to do it, but it can be done. And I learned how to do it through some trial and error. And I've got some videos on my TikTok of what an error looks like when you do start filters on fire in your oven, and it's not pretty. The front door to our shop actually still has the pry marks from the fire department prying their way in because they thought that the shop was on fire, which it wasn't, just the oven. All right, what else we got here? Got somebody sending us stuff. Nick Woods commented, where does the excess soot go when you clean the filters? I've replaced a few but never cleaned them because we don't have the tools to do cleaning. So during the dry process, which is just, we're going to use in a sealed cabinet, we're using compressed air to reverse flow everything back out. Basically, it goes into the filter and we blow it back out. And then there's a high vacuum underneath that. We blow out each of the cells individually. There are about 200 cells per square inch, so literally thousands of them in a filter. And all of the ash and soot that comes out is trapped and then is barreled up and actually recycled into the tire industry, the steel industry, and a few other places use that leftover diesel soot. Concrete manufacturing uses the ash. So it's captured and then and recycled. Biba commented, how much do you guys charge to clean DEF filters? And I imagine he means DPF filters. You're pretty much looking at, for, if you're dealing with a heavy duty truck where, the things are actually clamped together versus welded together and don't require any cutting. You're probably looking at around $300, $325, $295 to clean a DPF filter with the complete process. We do not do a stage thing, which is what we quote you one low price and then come back and say, oh, it didn't pass this, we have to do something else, didn't pass this, we have to do something else. We do give everybody the full cleaning process. And you probably should plan on spending $300 to $325 to get a filter cleaned. And actually, this is somebody with a very sharp eye. So let's take a look here. Driving a Freightliner. This is a one box we worked on that had coolant in it. So I'm going to fast forward here and I'll show you what they caught. So it's the EGR. Okay, inside. I remember this one. So this was explaining how coolant does get into your system. This is a Cummins EGR cooler, but it would apply to anything. The one box is on a truck with a Detroit engine, not a Cummins, but I'm showing you a Cummins EGR cooler here. But what happens is if you get a pinhole on the inside where the coolant flows, the coolant will then cross over into the exhaust side, and then the coolant will work its way down into your emission system. Let me go fast forward here a little bit. 15 engine. People will think that this is actually aware of is whenever you have through these pieces first, which are the DOCs, the diesel oxidation catalyst. All right, hang on a second. I got it. This is a good one. Okay, so you can see the coolant that's built up here. That's not what he commented on. And you can see I'm pointing at this one. So look at this. You notice how the amount of space between the surface of the diesel oxidation catalyst, or the DOC, the brick, whatever you want to call it, and then the edge of this metal housing is probably about 1.5 inches. And massive amount of coolant that got in here. That's actually all coolant that came through the DOCs. Okay, look at this. That gentleman had a very, very sharp eye, because you see that the face of this DOC is actually, you don't have that 1.5 inch gap. So at some point, what happened in this one box is the engine must have been running very sooty, or they waited a really, really long time to actually do a cleaning and come see us. And the DOCs got a layer of soot on them, causing them to be face plugged, at which point the exhaust can't flow through them. It starts to act like a cork. And you have typical exhaust pressure of about 11 psi, and then you calculate how many pounds per square inch, count how many square inches of DOC area you have there, multiple it times 11. That probably is 1,000 pounds or more of pressure. And if the exhaust can't flow through, it's just going to push that forward like a cork. And it's likely that both sides had been pushed forward like that, and we probably see here there must have been a massive amount of coolant that got. See, that's what it should look like. And then we go forward a few seconds here. Oops. And you see the other side in here. That's actually all coolant. We're going to jump over the other one here in a second. There we go. So you see how that one been pushed forward. So what we had probably done is these had both been pushed forward at some point, and we left that one, which is the left one facing it, just push forward. It's not going to go any further. It's just up against the rim of the housing. The other one we have a hydraulic jack process we use to push that back into place. We secured it, and that's why one of them is actually pushed forward, one of them is not, because they both were pushed forward at one point. We pushed the one back. The reason that we can't have the one we push back forward is because the temp sensor does poke in there, and if it's pushed forward, the temp sensor can't get in. So that's that one. That's a good catch. Good catch on that one. Yeah, isn't that DOC slid? So Jeff, I'm going to like that because you're a rock star. What does our house count for 2000? I wonder if that is asking about cleaning. Again, you're going to do DPF and DOC. You're going to be spending around $300, $325 to clean the DPF, $150, $125 to clean the DOC, plus some clamps and gaskets. Once it's off the truck, you're probably looking at about $700 for a cleaning. That's with the clamps and gaskets, all the parts and everything else. Contact us if you really want to know. I'm going to like his comment. This is a good one here. Size and Volvo. Which one is better, honestly? Concerned Volvo assembly worker. All of these systems are actually fairly reliable, but I find the one that is most bomb-proof, personally, with what my experience is the Volvo in Mac. That has got a absolute rock star, bulletproof emission system. But to be honest, they're all pretty decent. But the Volvo Mac is probably the most bomb-proof one out there. This is a funny one. We got oh my god, camel towing. It's Saturday. All right, check this out. Welcome to the DPF guys. Like, follow, share. I tell you what, these are all my TikTok videos. If you're seeing this anywhere else, please, if you're on YouTube or whatever, follow us on YouTube. Obviously, it means a lot. We're trying to build out this YouTube channel. But jump over to TikTok and find DPF guys if you're not following us already. Give us a call or a text, 404-999-1361. Okay, now that I'm done with this is no joke. We've got a customer. Yeah, he came in with a flatbed, a Hino, and I love this guy. His company name. They dropped their truck off. It was derated, and it's a towing company. There it is. It's backwards, but it's Camel Towing, and I think their slogan is "We'll help snatch you out of a tight spot." His business card said, "Our pullout game is strong." I love my customers. Some of them are so funny. And let's see. This is one that we did on a one box. Ooh, look at my bunghole. So this is one where the guy came in, had about 660,000 miles on his truck, and needed to get his one box cleaned. He opted to get brand new filters. His filters actually were, they've got 660,000 miles on them. We did put in 2 brand new filters, a 3-year warranty. That got him, he's going to be able to go, $1 million plus on this thing without any issue. We could have cleaned his filters, but sometimes it's not a bad idea on these Detroits to simply replace them. That got him out the door faster because he didn't have to wait for the filters to be cleaned, and he was back in business. So the question is, a circumstance, a PM, or is there problem specific with this one box being serviced? This was basically preventative, or basically he's saying it's time, just like it's time for an oil change, time to get your box cleaned. He was getting some codes, and also he did have a bad inlet knock sensor, so that was a repair. And then since he was coming in to get that done, he just got his one box cleaned and did decide to get new filters because it's been, well over 500,000 miles. It was just, he just figured it was time, and also got him out the door faster. Return all the fines. I tell you what, I like to go outside and not see soot everywhere. So, and yeah, I make money at it, but let's see. DEF crystallizes when it hits the atmosphere. Yes, it does. If as it dries, as the water dries out, the remaining urea will crystallize. And of course, you can show this yourself. We got some videos showing this and comparing the platinum DEF to regular DEF. So delete and tune, problem solved. Anybody who deletes because they're having issues with their emission system is basically treating treating the symptom and not the problem. Yes, you can have a failed sensor, and that can definitely be a failure that requires service. But other than that, if you have an emission system that's getting plugged up, where DPFs are getting cracked or plugged or face plugged or whatever it is, that is an engine issue. So yes, you can go to some guy back in the industrial park somewhere, and he'll take $4 or $5 grand in cash and drill out your DPF and give the truck back to you, and give you an invoice written in crayon that says exhaust work. But really, the reason you're seeing them in the first place is you likely have an engine issue, which will not go away when you remove your DPF system, just so you know. All right. So there you go. I think that is all of your questions answered. And let's see how that goes. So that's been kind of a new way of doing it. I'm going to kind of try to do some more Q&A here. If you have any questions for me at all, please don't be shy. Type them in the comments above or below, or text them directly to us at 404-999-1361. Again, that's 404-999-1361. Or just give us a call at 404-999-1361. We do want to help you out. But in the meantime, I appreciate you watching, and come back for more, okay?